Hey everybody, Scotchman here, Timothy. Thank you for coming to another video. So today, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. Yes, I am the Scotchman, but I do drink other things. And like I always say, all Scotch is whiskey, but not all whiskey is Scotch. So today, we're going to do some bourbon. Maker's Mark. So my virtual tasting recently, this is what we tasted. So, let's pour. You know the norm, I like to pour, let it air for a couple minutes. Ideally it should be about 5 to 10 minutes. I don't for these tastings. Normally I would pour, put it down, walk away, come back. I think master blenders, they actually like to leave it for at least 20 minutes actually, like up to 20 minutes covered. So that is some good patience. I like to drink my whiskey. So let's talk about bourbon. So you've fed up me saying, you know, Scotch is made in Scotland, it has to be malted barley, and has to be distilled there, has to be an American oak cask. The oak cask have to be made from wood at least 80 years old, has to stay there for at least 3 years, yada yada yada. Yes, I know, preaching to the choir. So bourbon. So bourbon is actually made from at least 51% corn, and mostly made in America. US have very high standards in terms of the type of whiskey and what it is made on. So you have rye whiskey, you have your corn whiskey, you have your bourbon. Maker's Mark is Kentucky straight bourbon. So what that means is it goes into one cask and it stays there. It doesn't re-rack, it doesn't do anything like that. It's made in Kentucky, hence Kentucky straight bourbon, one cask, and it's done. And Maker's Mark has a very unique history actually. It's young, 1950s, I think 1953. The founder had his family's recipe. He's like, this is not working for me anymore, let's go from scratch. Let us find a different recipe because I don't like the way my bourbon tastes. Innovation, right? So what he did was he made an experiment using different types of rye and wheat in bread, because normally you'd have to leave it to, you make a fermented mash and leave it to mature. So he found a way to bake it and give him an idea of the flavor profile, and he came up with some red wheat. So red wheat is the ingredient that makes Maker's Mark this color. So with Scotch, it would normally be how long it stayed in the barrel. With Maker's Mark, it's because of the wheat that's used in it. And I think that's only maybe 16 to 17%, I think it's about that, where 70% is actually corn. Hence it can be called bourbon, right? And of course they have some barley in there, some malted barley in there also, but yeah. So we're going to start with the evaluation, sensory evaluation. I'm going to roll it around. So you know the normal, you roll it around. I already looked at the color, so it's darker than amber, and that I don't think it's caramel. I don't think they have additives to this. I think the wheat, the red wheat is what gives it this color. And you can see the legs coming in. So the legs are a little thin, and that can be expected from bourbon that wasn't re-racked. Bourbon normally stays, I think, anywhere from 4 to 7 years. I think it's around that for bourbon, but it really depends. And this, one of the things with Maker's Mark is that they still do most things by hand, meaning by they obviously they don't distill it by hand, but after they distill it, they put it in the casks, and bourbon uses first-time casks. So you'll find after the bourbon comes out of the cask, they sell it and they ship it to Scotland, and then that's when the Scotch is put into it. So that's why you'll find it's American oak ex-bourbon cask. That's what they use to mature Scotch in. But bourbon, they use real cask. Like they make it, they char it, and then they put their bourbon into it. So these are new make casks that they use. They leave it, and then when it's done, when they finish bottle, they ship it off to Scotland. Now normally bourbon is known to be very woody because of that, because it's new oak. So you'll have vanilla, but you'll have some woody tones, and it's not going to be this dark. But again, because of the type of wheat that is in this bourbon and this mash, then that makes it this color. Yeah. And they say it's wooden, they say it's hand rolled, because what they do is they literally roll the barrels around in their warehouses where they store it while they mature it. So for different times of different seasons of the year, they decided that different areas are better for the maturation, and then they roll it around to that spot. And they also don't leave it for a particular age. I think they have their own blenders that they go and they test it, and then they say, well, okay, I think this is good enough now for our standards. It's not like okay, reach 5 years, time to pour this out. They actually go test it before they bottle it. Yeah. So nose is sweet. Smells like honey. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Whew. This is sweet. That's just the nose, guys. So it's not an alcohol whoop as a this is gonna be sweet. And it's fun. I mean, having the idea of what it should be before you taste it, it's like you're playing a game with your mind, with your tongue. You know, like my mouth is watering because this is sweet. Let's taste it now. You know. So I expect it to be sweet. The legs are a little thin, so I don't expect it to be too complex. I know why the color is like this, so I'm not worried about it having coloring or additives or anything like that in it. So let's go. Will it have spice? Let's see. Does at the end. Not bad, but it's just at the end. After everything was done, I was about to talk, I was like, whoo, there it is. Wood. Expected bourbon, brand new make casks, a little bit of charring. Honey, it is sweet. Smooth. There's no burn, there's nothing like that. It's nice. Remember, roll it around in the tongue. Give all the areas. Definitely a little spice. Definitely the woodiness. It's a nice bourbon. I mean, it's a nice whiskey. I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna deny it. It's really nice. It's smooth. It's good. You know, most people look at bourbon as something that bourbon, that's not Scotch. You know, that's Scotch's cousin. You know, what is it? But this Maker's Mark is pretty good. Take one more before I add water. Honey. Good. Really good. Even the aftertaste, the finish, not bad at all. Sorry. So you can see. Just a little bit of water. Some people use a dropper. I do use a dropper. So what I'm basically going to do is pour what I expect to be like half a cup full. You can use a cup to measure. I'm going to pour half. Whoa. So when I poured the water and I saw the whorls, WHORLS. So that's the viscometry of it. Yeah. And this is chill filtered, by the way. Most Scotch is chill filtered. If it's not, it will say it's in the bottle. But this is chill filtered. What that means is they put it through like a strainer or like a cellulose something where they take all the fat out of it. And that's really for aesthetics. So if you're one of those people that like to drink your Scotch cold, where you would put a block of ice in it or two, what happens is when you do that, the fat in the Scotch, the lipids, they kind of turn into cellulose, so you start to see these little kind of spotty things, and it doesn't really change the flavor profile of the whiskey, but it changes the texture in your mouth. So for Scotch purists, they like that texture, so even without the ice you would still taste it. So what most companies do now is, for aesthetic reasons, they chill filter. They call it chill filtered, and this is chill filtered. So those whorls you saw, what I saw when you added the water, if you do it when you pour the water and if you look down, you'll see it. That just really talks to the alcohol percentage, and I think this is a higher percentage. Yeah, this is 45% alcohol, so that makes sense. If you can see that there, 45% alcohol. Yeah. Give it a whirl, give it a taste. Spiciness. So remember when you roll it around, you saw the legs? Figured it wouldn't be as complex because the legs were thinner. Makes sense. So it tastes the same, just the spiciness came out. Whereas if it was a bottle of Scotch, I might have said, well, okay, I taste something different, a different layer. Something else comes out, but now I just get mostly spiciness. Just fine, nothing is wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that at all. It's just, you know, what I expected based on the legs, so it's good. I mean, sometimes it's completely wrong. In this case, it was good. Still good, just spicy. Didn't talk about the label and the bottle. So one of the founders, the female founder, while her husband was trying to figure out how to make the formula to make it taste better, she decided, I'm going to market the crap out of this. So instead of making it a normal circular whiskey or bourbon bottle that was on the market, she basically made it look like a cognac bottle so it'll stand out from everybody else. She also came up with the idea for the labels. That's why the labels are this way. She designed these labels, they look like paper, they look handmade. I kind of pulled off my wax, but normally they hand dip every bottle. So if you ever see a bottle of Maker's Mark, the distinctive thing is this red wax that comes on it. Every bottle is actually handmade, hand dipped. So because it's hand dipped, everyone looks a little unique, and I normally just pull it up. So I did pull it up, but I wanted to cut off the wax to see what the bottle looks like without it. So yeah, but if you see Maker's Mark anywhere, you're gonna have that wax dripping down there. And if you go to the factory post-COVID, you can actually dip your own bottle of Maker's Mark into it. And one little thing that I read was the name Maker's Mark S4, because I think the name was Samuels, so S is for Samuels, and he was the 4th generation. His son later found out that he was actually 6th generation in the family, but they just let the number stay. So basically, the Maker's Mark, get it? The maker of the Scotch, this is their mark. Cool, right? So she clearly had an eye and a brain for marketing. Let's finish this off. It's nice, smooth, just spiciness. Good. Good bourbon, can't complain. Like I said, people always say bourbon is Scotch's cousin. It's fine, this bourbon is good, Maker's Mark. Yeah, it's Maker's Mark, Kentucky Straight Bourbon, this is the original. And again, thanks for joining me. Scotchman here, signing off. Don't forget, follow me, Scotchman TT on Instagram, Scotchman TT on Facebook, and well, YouTube. I'm here now. So if you have any questions, concerns, comments, reach out to me. Thanks again. Slanjaba. See you next time.